Now ready to begin the program, and request that if you have a cell phone, could you please turn it off? And also, if anyone was able, we would ask that you please stand during the posting of the colors, remain standing for performance of the Star Spangled Banner, and recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance, and the reading of the Memorial Day prayer. After the prayer, everybody can be seated, and thank you for your cooperation on that. So with that, we will now have the posting of the colors. Please rise, remove your headgear from the Foley American Legion Honor Guard. Color bearer, both color. Now I'd like to ask the vocal group, Penn Street Singers, under the direction of Jody Martson. They'll come forward. We'll be singing the national anthem. You're all asked to join in if you desire to do that. Ms. Martson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous
Please join me now as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I now ask our Legion chaplain, Mr. Bill Petrusky, to come forward and read the Memorial Day prayer.
Good morning, everybody. Memorial Day prayer. Let us pray. Almighty God, giver of all victories, we thank thee for the opportunity which abides in our land, for thy guidance in the hour of peril and the tender love in times of need. Help us to remember the reverence of valor and donation of our departed comrades, not only for those bodies that concentrate our country's soil, but also those that sleep beyond the seas, and those others that are resting in places that will be known until the last day when the deep will be given up as dead. O God, teach us the valor of those that never cherish the ideals of which they have fought. Keep us steadfast to the cause of human rights and the liberties of law and order and true Americanism. Give us the power to see and the will to do the right. Grant that the American Legion may preserve the high ideals of which our comrades died. May thy merciful blessing rest upon those that left behind. Keep us forever firm in righteousness, humble of heart, self-justice in purpose. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
You may be seated. Thank you, Bill. Good to see so many people here on this glorious day. Thought almost everybody would be headed for their cabins or something else, but so again, thank you for being here. On behalf of Earl James Howe, Post, Holy American Legion 298, the Legion Auxiliary, and the Foley Squadron of the Sons of American Legion, again, welcome to the 2025 Memorial Day program. As in the past, those have been here, this program is intended to be kind of a solemn event in which we pay tribute to deceased veterans, and therefore during the program we request there be no applause. Also in the past, rather than waiting till the end of the program, I'm going to do a few brief thank yous. We want to again thank everybody for coming out on this day. Second, a big thanks to the Foley High School staff for all their assistance in putting the program together, the students for showing up to sing, for doing the presentation with the slides here. They've been really good. The custodian has been helpful in every way possible, so I can't thank them enough, or we can't thank them enough. I'd like to thank the Benkai News for publishing the names again. If you get the Benkai News, a lot of people don't get it anymore, but it's 2 pages of all the cemeteries, and it's listed all the names of the deceased veterans. They went again off of last year's, and then we had a number of new veterans that passed away. I get the names to them, and I think they got everybody in this year, so it's good. So again, I thank them for their all that, and thank those people, the businesses or individuals who contribute money to pay for that ad, because again, it's a newspaper, they're making some money on it. So thanks to businesses and any individuals who donated to that. If I missed anybody, any thank yous, I certainly apologize, and hopefully if I did, I'll get you next year. Prior to continuing the program, I got, again, some brief announcements. This year we were lucky to have 2 students apply for our Legion Boys State. The last 3 years, no boys have applied for it. This year we did have 2 individuals apply, and they're both going to be part of the program. So I really want to thank those 2 boys for coming out forward and going to Boys State. Second, The honor guard, some of the honor guard will be going to St. Paul and Peter in Gilman after this ceremony. They'll be going to Gilman for a short ceremony out at the cemetery there. So if anybody's interested in going to Gilman, there's a little ceremony that'll be taking place out there. Third is this is kind of unique. We're going to have a flyover of 3 planes at about 12:30. They told me 12:15 to 12:45, 12:30. 3 planes are going to be flying over Foley on this Memorial Day. So I'm going to try to get as many people as I can to come to our memorial site, which I think most of you know where it is. And I'd like to have people out there around 12:30. And if the planes indeed fly over, if we can give them a wave or something, it'd be nice. So I'm hoping to get a few people there anyway. So if you're bored and want something to do, come to the Veterans site around 12:15, 12:30. With that, I believe we're now ready to have Mr. Alex Stang come forward. And Alex is one of our Legion Boys State Representatives, and he will be reading the Gettysburg Address.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who gave their lives that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember that what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here rightly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. November 13, 1863, Abraham Lincoln.
Thank you, Alex. I'll also like to say Alex is also a bugler, and he will be playing taps for us at the end of the ceremony, outside with the honor guard. So again, thank you, Alex. I now would like to invite Juna Rudolph up, who is also a Boys State Representative, and he will be doing I Am the Flag.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over institutions of learning. I stand guard with power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshipped. I am saluted. I am loved. I am revered. I am respected, I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. I was flown at Valley Forge, Gettysburg, Shiloh, and Appomattox. I was there at San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, in the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, and the beaches of Normandy. Guam, Okinawa, Korea, Quezon, Saigon, and Vietnam know me. I was there. I led my troops. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired. But my soldiers cheered me, and I was proud. I have been burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of countries I have helped set free. It does not hurt, for I am invincible. I have been soiled upon, burned, torn, and trampled in the streets of my country. And when it's done by those whom I've served in battle, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the bonds of earth and stood watch over the uncharted frontiers of space from my vantage point on the moon. I have borne silent witness to all of America's finest hours. But my finest hours are yet to come. When I am torn to strips and used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the battlefield. When I am flown at half-mast to honor my soldier. Or when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving parent at the grave of their fallen son or daughter. I am proud. I am the flag of the United States of America.
Thank you, Joanna. We now have a musical selection, again by the Penn Street Singers. And the title is Song for the Unsung Hero. Composer is Joseph M. Martin. Thank you. The scroll technology, the computer's acting up a little bit. They're going to try and get it going again. So if they can't, that's the way life is, I guess. The next thing is Memorial Day keynote address, and every year this becomes a little bit more complicated. It's hard to get speakers to come forward and be willing to do this, especially on Memorial Day. Again, we've talked about that before, everybody's gone. But this year we're fortunate. I went and talked to this individual, and he pondered it for a while, and then he accepted to do it. So our guest speaker, keynote speaker, is Mr. Ken Anderson, and I'll just read a briefly introduction here. Ken has been a member of the Foley community for the past 56 years. During that time, he's been a high school history and psychology teacher. Many of you maybe have had him in class. A coach, sports announcer, and school board member. He has also served on St. John's Parish Council and the City of Foley Planning Commission. He is presently the chairperson of the Resource Training and Solutions Board of Directors, MSBA Legislative Assembly, and several statewide education boards. He's married to his wife Ellen, who's here today, and has 4 grown children, one who served in Iraq, Kuwait, and Afghanistan in the United States Army, 7 grandchildren, one of whom was presently in the Army ROTC at the University of Minnesota. He is presently retired, but devotes much of his life to continuing his education and passing it on to others. And when I first talked to Ken, he indicated to me, he said, well, I'm not a veteran. And I said, well, it's nice to get a person who's not a veteran's perspective for Memorial Day. So again, I'm honored to introduce Mr. Ken Anderson.
Mic out of the stand because I used to when I was announcing football games, it was easier that way, but I'm going to try using the mic just this way. I think it's loud enough. Excuse me, as Wayne said, you asked me if I'd be interested, and I said I don't think I can do that. And so he gave me a couple of days. I said, I'll call you within a week. I called him within 2 days, and I said, I want to do this. So here I am. I'm reminded, you know, I see this flag and so forth. A few years ago, I was over in Portugal. My wife and I were on a trip. Sure glad I was here. Were you on that trip? Oh, okay. We've done trips together. And anyway, they told us one day when we were going out, said, now tomorrow when you go out, don't wear anything that would identify you as an American. This is important. You know what I wore the next day? I wore a blazoned flag on my chest. Nobody gave me an evil eye. Nobody gave me a dirty look. Nothing. It was just fine, and I was very proud to be able to do it. I was so pleased to hear Alex Stang's reading of the Gettysburg Address. November 19, 1863. Powerful and to the point. 272 words, 10 sentences, and it took Lincoln 2 minutes to deliver it. The previous speaker had spoke for 2 hours. Nobody remembers what he said. Lincoln did it in 2 minutes. Lincoln had delivered one of the most profound speeches ever. And yet Lincoln's speech was not recognized as being great. Many newspapers criticized or just plain ignored it. It wasn't until after World War I, the war that President Woodrow Wilson termed was the war to save democracy, the war to end all wars. Right after that war, because that war didn't work too well, that's when the speech became well known. And when I said it didn't work too well, we're going to save the world for democracy, but what came out of World War I? Fascism with Hitler and Mussolini, and communism with Lenin and Stalin. So we've had to fight. That's we brought out the Gettysburg Address to remind people that we are of the people, by the people, and for the people. We are a democracy. In fact, some of you maybe know or don't know that we didn't have the national anthem of the Star Spangled Banner until 1931. Right in the middle of the Great Depression, in the middle of fascism going on, but we wanted the world to hear that in the Star Spangled Banner that we are the land of the free and the home of the brave. Also, some of you maybe know or don't know the word under God used in the Pledge of Allegiance was not put in until 1954. It was not originally there and did not become a part of it. At that time, we were in the Cold War with the godless Soviet Union, and we wanted to improve the under God. So, part of my education when I was in 5th grade was to memorize the Gettysburg Address. Well, I don't think I do anymore, but I certainly did at that time. What we are doing now is one of the most significant things we can do. Honoring individuals who have gifted and sacrificed their lives for this country is so crucial. They are heroes and patriots. They must be remembered. We can do that by burying them with honor and building memorials to them. This is the 250th year of the United States Army, some of you know that. It is also the 80th year, the anniversary of World War II, and the 50th year of the end of the Vietnam War. For remembrance, which is important, we have 171 national cemeteries in the United States managed by the VA. I have a nephew and a godchild buried at the military cemetery in Rapid City here. We also have 1,400 documented memorials. Every U.S. conflict has been memorialized, and 10 new monuments are built every year. There are 24 American cemeteries, 81 memorials throughout the world, in 17 countries, honoring American servicemen and women. In 1972, my wife and I traveled for a month in Europe. One of the places we visited was a town in Germany called Dachau. It was where Hitler built the first concentration camp. It wasn't an extermination camp, but 46,000 people died there. And before we left, walking around the camp, we went to the camp museum. The Germans were very complete documenters of all the things done there. It was sobering and disgusting. As you exited the museum, there was a quote emblazoned on the wall in 5 different languages: English, French, German, Spanish, and Russian. And the quote was from a guy named Santayana. Those who fail to learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat it. I will never forget that. After the war, the residents of Dachau were forced to walk through to see with their own eyes, what had been going on near them. There could be no denial that this happened. That is why it is so important to remember the past and not let these things happen again. That is why we must continue to remember that those who served and sacrificed for this country and the debt we owe them cannot be forgotten. As a result, I have made a life, I think, of finding and visiting as many memorials as I can. Some of them obscure, some of them very important. But I remember as I was growing up, there were 3 sayings: remember the Alamo, remember the Maine, and remember Pearl Harbor. I have been to San Antonio and seen the Alamo. I have been to the Havana Harbor, where the Maine took place. And I have been to Pearl Harbor, site of that in 1941. They're all important to me. In my lifetime, I have seen a lot of threats to our democracy and have been to many of those places, as well as other historical sites. I think that's very important. Every year, my wife and I travel to Gettysburg, which we just heard about the Gettysburg Address. Gettysburg was a turning point in the Civil War. A 3-day battle that was the bloodiest of the war, with 7,000 dead and 51,000 casualties. It was part of a 640,000 total dead in the Civil War, all Americans. That devastating war wiped out an entire generation. The battle was very special to Minnesotans. If you don't know this, if you're a Minnesotan, you'll be very proud. When war was declared, Lincoln called for 75,000 volunteers to fight for 3 months. Senator Alexander Ramsey of Minnesota, we were only 5 years old as a state at that time, went to Lincoln and said, I'll give you the first 1,000 volunteers, and that became the first Minnesota. They at that time, the first Minnesota fought in every battle up to and including Gettysburg, and they fought valiantly. At Gettysburg, you will find 4 Minnesota monuments. The first was a large urn and cemetery. It was put there in 1867, and it was the first monument put by any state at Gettysburg. The second one was on the second day of the battle. The forces of the South, the Confederacy, were advancing on our cemetery ridge. And we had an idiot commander named Sickles from New York, and they were retreating. And they were going to break through a cemetery ridge. And the first Minnesota was there, and they said, we know you don't have enough men. You're outnumbered 5-1. But we want you to go in and stop that charge. And they did. They lost 82% of their men in casualties. That's one of the highest recorded casualty rates in the history of warfare. But they stopped the attack. Winfield Scott Hancock came in with reinforcements, and the battle was saved. There's a beautiful monument if you ever go to Betty Gettysburg, honoring the first Minnesota. The second day was Pickett's Charge, if you've ever heard of that. They were charging up Cemetery Ridge about 100 yards north of where the first monument was. And we held that line, and not only held the line, the first Minnesota was asked to attack. We lost more men. By the time we were done, the total loss for the first Minnesota was 89%. That is really tough. But we won. In fact, we captured their battle flag, Virginia Pickett's battle flag. We have it in the Minnesota Historical Society. They want it back. They once asked Jesse Ventura, "Can we have our flag back?" He said, "You have to fight it to get it." So, no way, it's there. It's displayed on occasion. So, but that was the first Minnesota. The last monument is a guy named, let's see, I got him on the next page here. It is Albert Wussel. And he was the last person to die in the Civil War that had served. And they have a statue of him sitting on a table or a seat. He was from Duluth, Minnesota. So we are well represented at Gettysburg, very definitely. And in November of 1863, 6,000 acres and 7,000 graves were dedicated as a national battlefield. After Gettysburg, when we go on these trips, we then go to Washington, D.C., and that's Monument City. There are newly built World War I monument there to honor the 117,000 that died in that war. That's relatively new. I haven't seen it yet. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just losing my, okay. The Americans who died. World War II Memorial, commemorating 400,000 Americans who died in the two theaters. The Korean War Memorial, honoring 54,000 Americans, and the Vietnam Memorial, honoring 58,000. And a few years ago, I drove with a bus a group of veterans from Litchfield who got out to their goal was to get to the Vietnam Memorial. They got out, they all had their uniforms on. They went down and saw many of their buddies from the war and so forth. It was a very moving situation. And then, of course, there's Arlington Cemetery across the river. And so, Shug, I know you've been there because you were with us on a trip one time. And Arlington, there are, let's see, 400,000 graves, including the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the Changing of the Guard, and next door is the Iwo Jima Memorial. If you ever get to Washington, D.C., and I've been there probably 20 times, it is fantastic. 2 weeks ago, my brother-in-law, former Marine, who served in Vietnam, returned from a freedom flight in D.C. And every time we've seen a freedom flight, our people, and they do this all the way, when they're walking off the bus, they stand and applaud them the entire time. It's really a moving situation. And then we go to New York City. In New York City, we end our day with a tour of the 9/11 Memorial, where 3,000 died in the terrorist two pools that are 45 feet deep on footprints of the former Twin Towers. Waterfalls descend into the pools, and names of those who died are inscribed in the granite ledges around the pool. On an adjacent area, they have built the tallest building in New York City. It's called the Freedom Tower. You know how tall it is? 1,776 feet tall. Honoring freedom in America. My parents are both deceased, but 5 years ago, I found something in my mother's belongings that I've never seen before. It was a 12 by 18-inch parchment scroll in mint condition. It was sent to my grandparents and signed by President Roosevelt. I have it framed under glass, and it hangs on the wall of my office. My grandmother gave birth to 2 sets of twins. 2 girls followed by 2 boys 2 years later, and this is before the time of Pampers. Tough. They lived on a small farm 40 miles from here. Selective service allowed one of the boys to stay home to farm, but the other was drafted into the Army. I never met him. He was killed in the Philippines in 1943 at the age of 25 and buried in a military cemetery there. This is what it says on the scroll. In grateful memory, her name was Manly Warming. In grateful memory, my wife's getting upset with me right now. In grateful memory of Manly Warming, who died in the service of this country. He stands in the unbroken line of patriots who have dared to die that freedom might live and grow and increase its blessings. Freedom lives, and through it he lives, in a way that humbles the undertakings of most men. Fantastic. My grandmother wore the Purple Heart every day of the rest of her life and is buried with it. God bless you all. God bless the United States of America, and thank you for being here today, and it was my honor.
Thank you, Ken. It's quite emotional. Moving. Next, I would like to call on Mr. Tanner Brush. Tanner is a member of the Sons of the American Legion Squadron out of Foley, our Legion Post. And I'd like to have him come forward and he will read In Flanders Field.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly. Scares heard amid the guns below, we are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Thank you, Tanner. Next, I'd like to call on Jane Swanson. Jane is a American Legion Auxiliary Officer, and she will be reciting I Am the Poppy.
I am the poppy. I am the poppy, so small and red, bowing my head where blood was shed, remembering the heroes, young and old, who went to war as they were told, to protect their country and their families and help keep them both free. Many fell in the war zones, some never to return to their beloved land. Disabled and needing a helping hand, Heroes grow old and are in need of care. Remember them as the poppy you wear, and honor the dead and help the living. It is for this cause you are giving. Wear me proudly. I am a poppy day. Your gifts will help in many ways. I am the red poppy of sacrifice. I lift my head and I proudly face life.
Thank you, Jane. Next on the program is Legion Vice Commander Jim Amon, and he will be reading the veterans who have passed since last Memorial Day. And this is the best record we have. I constantly, after this program, I get calls from people saying, oh, such and such, you didn't do such and such's name. So please, if you know a veteran, again, it doesn't have to be a Legion member. If you know a veteran in this area who's passed away, please contact me or somebody that's belonging at the Legion and let us know. We try to keep as good records as we can. So again, I would ask that Vice Commander Jim Amon come forward and please read the names of those who have passed since last Memorial Day.
Robert Bob Lukow, St. Paul Lutheran Cemetery. Mark Peterson, Little Falls State Cemetery. Jacob Urick, St. Elizabeth, Brennyville. Todd Warren, St. Elizabeth, Brennyville. Theodore Dingman, Little Falls State Cemetery. Harry Meyer, Little Falls State Cemetery. Mary Donovan, other cemeteries. Robert Shields, Little Falls State Cemetery. Everett Hall, St. Lawrence, Duello. Jean Urick, other cemeteries. Robin Gondik, Little Falls State Cemetery. Joseph Pagan, other cemeteries. Wayne Greener, other cemeteries. Ronald Jeff Leffler, Little Falls State Cemetery.
Thank you, Jim. Now I'm going to go over and sing the song. I wrote this song in 2005. And as I look out here and I see the number of people, it's just amazing where 20 years went. I've been doing this song for 20 years, and I just can't believe time has went by that fast. But anyway, the song is called Remember. And after I finish my song, the Honor Guard will have them go out, retire colors, and we'll have taps, and we'll conclude the ceremony. Day we remember, sacrifices made, every fallen soldier lying in a grave. We remember, oh yes we do. We remember, today we honor you. Some gave their life on a distant shore. Others came home, but I hear no more. Remember them, now they stand at ease. Remember them, now may they rest in peace. Mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, brothers and sisters, heroes everyone, remember them. All those who have died, remember them with tear-filled eyes. Fighting for freedom, the cause supreme, Army, Guard, and Air Force, Navy, and Marines, remember all those who are gone. Remember them, their memory lingers on. To all military, in war and peace, we applaud your service, unselfish deeds, and remember, and say a job well done. We remember, and thank you, everyone. Let us not forget, living in this land, freedom has a price to pay. We all understand and remember those passed away. We remember them on this special day. God bless each veteran for your duty given. May you someday find a place in heaven and be remembered in some small way. Be remembered for the price you pay. Let's not forget, living in this land, freedom has a price to pay. We all understand and remember sacrifices made. We remember what each one gave. This Memorial Day, we remember this Memorial Day. We remember.
Prepare to fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. And right. Move. Present. Arms. Order, arms. Parade, rest.